Colonial American industries. By the mid-1700s, Great Britain had 13 colonies along the eastern coast of North America from present-day Maine as part of the Massachusetts colony to Georgia. Differences in climate, industries, and traditions of the settlers separated the colonies into three regions: the New England colonies, the Middle colonies, and the Southern colonies. Most businesses during the colonial period were small family-run farms or shops. Husbands, wives, and children all worked together to keep the businesses going. Even the largest businesses at the time, tobacco, rice, and indigo plantations of the South, were family-owned. Each region of the colonies relied on certain industries for money. An industry is a set of businesses in which the same type of product is made to sell. Industries of the New England colonies. Settlers in the New England colonies quickly learned that the land was not good for farming. Instead, they depended on the region's thick forests. People established sawmills to cut lumber for shipbuilding. Shipbuilders used oak for the ship's hulls and tall pines for spars and masts. By the end of the colonial era, 1/3 of all British vessels had been built in New England. The sea provided great wealth to the New Englanders. Many people worked as merchants and traded using ports. They owned shops and imported and exported textiles, hardware, tea, and other goods. Fishing and whaling were important industries to the economy. Along with fur trading, New England also became known for the triangular trade. This trade arrangement had three parts. Merchants and shippers bought African captives from slave traders in Africa. The merchants and shippers then sold the enslaved Africans in the West Indies for molasses. Merchants brought the molasses back to New England, where it was made into rum. In turn, the rum was used to purchase more African captives. Industries in the Middle colonies. The warm climate and rich soil of the Middle colonies made it an excellent area for farming. Colonists grew wheat, rye, and other grains. First, they would save enough grain for their families. The rest could be sold or traded for manufactured items such as cloth, dishes, tea, and coffee, and raw materials such as lumber. The Middle colonies became known as the breadbasket of the colonies. The region supplied the Southern and New England colonies with grain. Industries in the Southern colonies. In the Southern colonies, large farms known as plantations became the most important businesses. Southerners who owned these large farms grew many crops. In North and South Carolina, farmers planted rice in flooded fields. Rice brought so much money to this area that colonists called it Carolina gold. Tobacco thrived on inland fields in Maryland, Virginia, and Kentucky. Other plantation owners produced indigo. The flowers of indigo shrubs were used to make a blue dye. By the early 1800s, cotton fields stretched from South Carolina through Texas. Farmers also grew sugar cane along the Mississippi River from Tennessee to Louisiana. Southerners grew these crops mainly for trading. Ships from the West Indies and England sailed in and out of southern ports. Plantation owners sold their crops to traders for a huge profit. Owners used the money to buy more land and enslave Africans who were forced to work in the fields. Plantations supplied valuable crops to many people. However, their success depended upon slave labor. Enslaved Africans were treated poorly, overworked, and received no pay. Many were beaten or even killed by their owners. Slave traders forcibly captured people in West Africa, put them in chains, and sailed them to North America. The ships were overcrowded and filthy. Many of the African captives died from disease and starvation on the voyage. After the Civil War, slavery became illegal, and the plantation economy of the South crumbled. Number 1. Who worked the fields on the large plantations? A. Enslaved Africans. B. Farm families. C. Hired workers. D. Farming machines. Number 2. Why were the middle colonies called the breadbasket? A. Farmers in the region ate a lot of bread. B. Artists in the region wove fancy baskets. C. Colonists in the region owned a lot of bakeries. D. Farmers in the region supplied the other colonies with grain. Number 3. Which industry was important to the economy of the New England colonies? A. Farming. B. Shipbuilding. C. Cloth manufacturing. D. Tourism. Number 4. Which item was not traded during the triangular trade? A. African captives. B. Molasses. C. Water. D. Rum.